You never believed in ghosts. Not really. Not the way others did, whispering about cold spots and flickering lights, as though the world of the dead brushed up against the living on quiet nights. You were always practical, skeptical, the kind of man who needed to touch something to trust that it was there. And yet, tonight, as the rain slicks down the windows of your grandfather's old house and thunder hums low behind the hills, something inside you feels watched. You came here to settle things. The will, the furniture, the creaking memories left behind after his quiet death. He was a quiet man himself, your grandfather, a widower who spoke rarely and stared often. You remember the way he looked at you during your last visit, as if he wanted to say something but couldn't, as if the silence around him had thickened with time, become too dense to cut through with words. You stand in the hallway now, holding your overnight bag in one hand and the old brass key in the other. The key feels heavy, colder than the air. You twist it in the lock. The door sighs open, and the scent of dust and pine greets you like an old friend. Everything inside is still, untouched since the day they found him. The lights don't flicker, but the silence is palpable, like the house has been holding its breath, waiting for you. You walk in slowly. Your footsteps on the wooden floor seem louder than they should be. The hallway stretches long, darker than you remember. Each room you pass has its door closed, except one, the room at the end of the hall. His room, the one you slept in once, as a boy during a thunderstorm much like this one. That night you had dreamed of voices, soft, whispering voices, calling your name from the closet. You woke up sweating, heart racing, only to find the room dark and empty. You never told anyone, not because you were scared, but because deep down, some part of you knew it hadn't been a dream. You shake the memory off like rain from your shoulders. This is just a house, a structure of wood and walls, and nothing more. You set your bag down near the foot of the stairs and make your way to the kitchen. Everything is still in its place. The ancient teapot, the cracked mug he always used, the faded photograph of your grandmother on the wall. Her eyes seem to follow you. You pretend not to notice. You pour yourself some water, drink it slowly, and try not to think about the way the pipes groan overhead, like someone shifting in bed. Maybe it's just the old plumbing. Maybe it's just the storm dock. You decide to sleep in his room. You don't really know why. It's just a room, after all. But something about it draws you in, the way the door is already open, like an invitation, like it expected you. You change into a clean shirt, brush your teeth in the cracked bathroom mirror, and walk back down the hallway. The air is cooler now. The windows rattle faintly in the wind. You step into the bedroom and stand for a moment, letting your eyes adjust. The room hasn't changed. The heavy oak wardrobe still sits in the corner, its mirror stained with age. The bed is neatly made, untouched. You hesitate, then pull back the covers and sit down. The mattress creaks under your weight, but it's firm, comfortable even. You lie back, staring up at the ceiling, and close your eyes. At first, there's nothing, just the rain, gentle, rhythmic. The perfect sound to fall asleep to Dot, and then you hear it. Your name, spoken softly, like someone standing just outside the door. You sit up. Nothing. You strain your ears, but all you hear now is the storm, a branch tapping against the window, the wind winding itself around the chimney. You laugh softly. It's just your imagination, the mind playing tricks. You lie back down, deeper this time. You let the rain lull you. Let the house embrace you. You drift. You wake at exactly 3 a.m. You know this before you check the clock. The air has changed. It feels off, like the moment before a storm hits. You sit up slowly. And then you hear it again. Bill, your name spoken in a whisper. So quiet, so near, You feel the breath of it on your neck. You spin toward the door. It's open now. You're sure you closed it. You rise, legs stiff, and walk to the hallway. It's empty. The shadows are long, flickering in time with the lightning. You listen. Nothing. And then softly, barely audible over the rain, you hear footsteps. Bare feet on wood, slow, deliberate. You move toward the sound, careful, quiet, down the hall, past the staircase, toward the back room, the one no one ever used, the one with the padlock you'd always assumed was for storage. But the lock is gone. The door is open. And inside, the air smells like damp earth and something older, something forgotten. You step inside. The floor groans under you. Your eyes adjust to the dim. There's a chair in the center, and on the chair, a small tape recorder. You stare at it. It clicks and begins to play. Your grandfather's voice, shaky, tired. If you're hearing this, it means you've come, and it means you've heard it too. You step back, your mouth dry. I don't know what it is, the voice continues, but it's been here for a long time, longer than I have, longer than the house. It comes at night, only in that room, only when you sleep there. You feel the hairs on your arms rise. It knows your name, Bill. The recorder stops. You feel the cold breath of something behind you. You don't turn. You run, back through the hall, into the bedroom, slam the door, lock it. You sit against the door, panting, eyes wide. Silence. And then Bill, a whisper, right behind your ear, even though no one is in the room. You leap up. You flip on the light. Empty. But on the mirror of the wardrobe, written in condensation, are 3 words. You came back. You don't sleep the rest of the night. The next morning arrives gray and heavy, as if the storm hadn't passed, but simply chosen to hide behind the clouds. You haven't slept. Not really. Your body may have rested for brief moments, but your mind never left that whisper, that voice, the words on the mirror. You came back. The message is gone now, wiped clean by your trembling hand just after dawn. But it's still there, behind your eyes, etched into the part of your memory that doesn't fade. You try to rationalize it, to file it away, under dreams or exhaustion or trauma. But none of the usual labels stick. Something is here. You stand in front of the mirror again, brushing your teeth, trying to act normal, as though this morning is like any other. But your reflection doesn't look right. It's not the shadows under your eyes, or the way your hair's gone unkempt overnight. It's something deeper. You look like a man who's been touched by something he can't explain. You force yourself through the motions. Breakfast, light cleaning, paperwork. You keep the TV on in the background, low volume, a distraction. But even then, you notice. The sound drops out for brief seconds, like the house is muting the world, like it wants your attention. Around noon, you decide to check the back room again. You expect the tape recorder to be gone, part of your imagination, but it's still there, sitting quietly on the chair in the center of the room. You stare at it. There's no new message, just silence. But you know better now. Silence isn't empty. Not here. You walk the perimeter of the room. There are no windows. The floor is older than the rest of the house, warped, almost soft in places. You crouch and tap one of the boards. Hollow. You dig your fingers under the edge and pull. It lifts with a groan. Beneath it, there's darkness, a crawl space. You shine your phone's flashlight inside. The beam catches old stone, bricks mostly, dust, a small box, wooden and sealed shut. You hesitate, then reach in and pull it out. The box is surprisingly cold. You carry it to the kitchen and place it on the table. It takes you half an hour to work the rusted latch free. Inside, you find papers, letters, faded photographs, A worn leather notebook. Everything smells of mildew and forgotten things. You flip through the notebook first, dot your grandfather's handwriting. You read. The voice started when I was 13. Your blood runs cold. At first, it only said my name. At night, in that room, I thought I was dreaming until I started hearing it during the day too, when I was alone. It never showed itself, never touched me, but it always knew things, always watched. You keep reading. I tried to move 3 times, but the voice followed. I sold the house once. The new family moved out within a month. They wouldn't talk. About why? When I returned, it stopped again. For years, it was silent. Until you were born. You closed the book. Your hands are shaking. The letters are worse. Apologies, warnings, desperate ramblings that barely make sense. One is addressed to your mother. It was never mailed, you check the postmark. It was written the year she died. You remember the accident, the way no one could explain why the brakes failed. She wasn't even supposed to be driving that day. She was visiting your grandfather. Alone, you put the letter down. The air feels thick again. Like before a storm, you turn toward the hallway and freeze. The bedroom door is open. You're certain, absolutely certain. You closed it after you cleaned up. Your feet move before your brain can catch up. You walk down the hallway, slow, deliberate, heart-hammering. The door doesn't creak. It just waits. You step inside. The bed is made. Nothing has changed, except the window. It's wide open. Rain drizzles in through the screen, soft and cold. But there are no wet footprints. No puddles. Just the smell of damp wood and something older. You close the window. Latch it. Lock it. As you turn, you see something else. The wardrobe. The mirror is fogged again. And this time, the message is longer. You remember me. You step back. No. You don't. Do you? You run your fingers across the glass. The words vanish. You open the wardrobe doors, expecting something to fall out. A shape, a figure, anything. But there's only clothes. A box of mothballs. Dust. You slam it shut. You should leave. You tell yourself this again and again, but you don't. Instead, you spend the rest of the day going through every room, every drawer, looking for something, anything that explains what's happening. You find another box in the attic, this one filled with cassette tapes, all dated, all labeled in your grandfather's shaky script. You bring them downstairs. The recorder still works. You test it. The first tape is just static, then faint whispers. It's hard to make out the words, but your name is among them. Over and over. Bill, Bill, Bill. The second tape is worse. Screaming, but not pain, something else. Like someone falling through time. Through memory. The third tape breaks the recorder. It clicks, plays a high-pitched tone, then dies. You sit in silence. The house is watching you. You sleep on the couch that night, lights on. You try not to blink too long. At 3 a.m., the lights flicker, and a shadow moves across the hallway. Just a glimpse, enough to make you forget how to breathe. You don't get up, you don't go check, but when morning comes, there's a single wet footprint in front of the bedroom door. Bare. Small. You stare at the footprint for a long time. It's unmistakable. Toes, arch, heel. Perfectly defined in a thin film of water, as though someone stepped there only moments ago. You don't touch it. You don't need to. You already know what. It means. Something was here. You back away slowly, eyes never leaving the spot. But as you move down the hallway, the air shifts. It grows colder, heavier, and then the lights cut out. All of them. The hallway goes dark. The silence that follows is absolute, deeper than the kind found in empty houses. It presses in around you, like a presence, like breath held just behind your ear. You reach for your phone, hand trembling, and fumble to turn on the flashlight. The narrow beam cuts through the dark like a knife, illuminating only the closest walls. But in that narrow corridor of light, you see them handprints small, damp, dozens of them, streaked across the hallway walls, trailing toward the bedroom. You freeze. Your legs scream to run, but your curiosity, or maybe something deeper, more dangerous, holds you in place. The hallway smells like wet leaves and something metallic. Not blood, something older. You take a step forward, then another. The handprints continue all the way to the bedroom door, which now stands half closed. You nudge it open with your foot. The room is dark, still. The air is so cold, it stings your lungs. Your flashlight flickers once, twice, then steadies. There's something on the bed. You move closer, breath shallow, and see that it's a doll. An old one. Porcelain face, cracked in one corner. A small tear in its cloth dress. You've never seen it before, and you certainly didn't leave it there. Tied around its neck is a tag dot. It reads, "Mine." You don't touch it. You back away, slowly, and pull the door shut behind you. Downstairs, the lights flicker back on. Weak, but steady. The normal sounds of the house return. Wind, faint creaks, the soft pitter of rain against the windows. But it doesn't feel like safety. It feels like a trap reset. You make coffee with shaking hands, just to do something. Just to hold on to a routine. The bitter scent helps. A little. You sit at the kitchen table, notebook open in front of you. Your grandfather's words run through your mind. It always knows your name. You flip the pages. One entry stands out. Dated nearly 40 years ago. I tried to speak to it once. I asked what it wanted. It didn't answer. But the next night, it left a photo on my pillow. Of me, sleeping. You glance toward the hallway. Toward the bedroom. You don't want to look, but you do. You find the photo, just as he described. Resting. On the pillow. You curled on the couch last night. Taken from inches away. You begin to tremble. This isn't a haunting. It's a game, and it's your move. You spend the day searching the house for cameras, for signs of intrusion. You check the locks, all secure. You call the utility company. No outages reported. You check your phone's memory card. No images. No tampering. You're alone, and yet you aren't. You decide to burn the doll. You carry it outside in a paper bag, hands shaking. You dig a hole behind the shed, pour lighter fluid, and strike a match dot it doesn't catch. You try again. And again. The flame burns in your hand, but dies the moment it nears the doll. You bury it instead. Deep, cover it with stones. That night, you lock every door, every window. You push furniture against the bedroom door. You sleep downstairs again, at 3 a.m. The power cuts once more, but this time, there's music, a lullaby, playing faintly from somewhere upstairs. You cover your ears, but the sound is inside you, nostalgic, familiar, like something from your childhood. You forgot long ago, and then the whisper returns. Come upstairs, Bill. You freeze, It's not angry, not even threatening, just expectant, like a parent calling a child. To bed. You stay put. You don't move, but your body betrays you. You find yourself walking, slowly, feet numb, one step at a time, up the stairs, into the hall. To the bedroom. The door is open. The room is bathed in soft golden light. A lamp you didn't turn on, and sitting on the bed, the doll. Clean, whole, no cracks, holding a small, heart-shaped locket. You approach, compelled. Inside the locket is a photo of your mother. As a child. and a folded note. It reads. She heard it too. You sit on the edge of the bed, the locket heavy in your palm. Your mother's face stares back at you, frozen in time, young, innocent, unaware. And yet, her eyes look tired, like she had already seen too much. You turn the photo over. There's something written on the back in delicate script. Don't answer it, no matter what it says. Your hand tightens around the locket. You glance at the doll beside you. Its eyes are glassy, unblinking, but its posture has changed. Just slightly, as though it's shifted, turned ever so slightly toward you. You rise. The room feels smaller than before, warmer, oppressive. The lullaby has stopped, but you still hear it in your head, a ghost of a song lingering behind your thoughts. You walk back into the hallway, the air feeling thick, almost liquid. The light flickers as you pass under it. The bulb hums with a faint electric buzz, and then you hear the voice again. Closer now. Bill, come play. It's not behind you, not above you. It's coming from inside the walls. You step back, heart hammering. The voice shifts, now lower, more distorted, as if being pulled through water. Don't leave. Not yet. You run down the stairs into the living room. The television turns on by itself, static, loud, crackling with bursts of indecipherable sound. You yank the plug from the wall. Silence. You turn. And there, on the floor, is a trail of wet footprints leading back toward the stairs. You've had enough. You grab your keys, your wallet, your phone, and head for the front door. But when you try to open it, the knob won't turn. Not stuck. Not jammed. It's simply still, like it isn't a door anymore. You try the back door, the windows. Nothing opens. It's like the house is holding you, like it's decided you're not done. You collapse onto the couch, shaking. You dial your cousin, the only other family member who ever came here, but the call drops before it rings. You try again. Nothing. And then your phone rings, but the screen is blank. No name, no number. Just the sound of static when you answer. And beneath the static, breathing. Soft, slow, right against your ear. You throw the phone across the room. It doesn't shatter. It simply lands, screen flickering. You spend the rest of the afternoon writing everything down, every sound, every sight, every whisper. You fill pages with notes, drawings, memories. Anything to stay tethered to something real. You think about your grandfather again, his final months, the way his voice shook, the way he looked over his shoulder even in broad daylight. He wasn't scared of dying. He was scared of what would come with him. That night, you find another letter, not in the attic or under the floorboards, but on your pillow. The envelope is sealed with wax. Your name is written on it, in your own handwriting. Inside is a note. It reads, I told you not to come back, but you didn't listen. Now it knows. There's no signature. Just a small drawing of a door. You flip the paper over. There's a date, the same date your grandfather died. You feel something twist inside your chest. You check the clock. 2:50-7. You don't move. 2:50-8. You hold your breath. 50-9. The air around you grows cold, heavy. 3 o'clock. The lights cut. And the whisper returns. Bill. But this time, it's not calling. It's laughing. You never meant to stay in this town for long. Just a temporary stop, a halfway point between everything you were running from and whatever came next. The house was cheap, suspiciously so, but you told yourself it didn't matter. You needed quiet, distance, a place where the world would stop spinning so fast. You found this house at the edge of town, tucked between overgrown trees and roads that no longer had names. 2 stories of peeling paint, crooked shutters, and a porch that sagged like a tired breath. The neighbors were distant. The silence was absolute. It felt perfect. You moved in on a Sunday. By Tuesday, you found the clock. Had happened while you were clearing the backyard. The grass had grown wild, tangled with weeds and vines that clung to your ankles. You were pulling up roots when your fingers struck metal, cold, solid, round. You knelt, brushing away dirt and time, revealing a small, ornate pocket watch. Brass, tarnished, with initials carved faintly on the back. DM. The glass was cracked, the hands frozen at exactly 3:17. You turned it over in your palm. Despite the age, it felt warm, alive. You tucked it into your jacket pocket, unsure why. That night, sleep came quickly. Too quickly. You don't remember lying down. Only the weight of exhaustion, then darkness, and then you woke up, but it was Monday again. Same sky, same light, same coffee you made yesterday, still untouched on the counter. You checked the calendar, checked your phone. Monday. You laughed. Maybe you were just confused. Maybe you'd misread something. You moved through the day, familiar, but not. The conversations, the quiet, the dull ache in your chest, all slightly out of sync. That night, you dreamed of ticking. Loud, sharp, endless. And when you woke, it was Monday again. The same bird called outside your window at exactly 7:03. The same knock on the door came at 9:12. The mailman dropping off a package you never ordered. Same dream. You stared at the watch on your knitstand, its hands still frozen, still locked on 3:17. You didn't know what was happening. Not yet. The third time you relived Monday. You stayed in bed. Watching. Waiting. Everything repeated, beat for beat. And still, no one noticed. No one said anything different. The world spun, as if it had never moved. You began to test it. You knocked over a vase. It shattered. The next day, it was whole again. You scratched your name into the floorboards. The next day, the wood was untouched. You cut your finger. The next morning, no scar. Only you remembered. Only you remained. By the sixth loop, something changed. Not the day, not yet, but the feeling. The space between time. The way the air thickened after 3 a.m., like the world was holding its breath, like something was. Waiting. The dreams grew louder. Not ticking anymore, but voices. Whispers just behind your ear. Not words, just sound. On the seventh Monday, you threw the clock into the woods. You buried it beneath rocks, ran until your legs burned, stayed up all night. You woke in your bed. The clock was on your knitstand. Clean, polished, and ticking. You didn't scream. You didn't run. You stared at it. Tick, tick, tick. It had moved. By 1 second. Now, 3:18. You didn't know what that meant, but you knew it was watching. You started writing things down. A journal, scrawled notes, diagrams on the walls. Anything to make sense of the repetition. Anything to anchor yourself to something real. You stopped trusting your own thoughts. You slept less, spoke less. The days stacked up like paper, thin and useless. And then, on the 14th loop, you noticed a man across the street. Tall, gray coat, staring at your house. He wasn't there before. You watched him all day. He didn't move, didn't blink. Just watched. That night, you left all the lights on. You bolted the doors. But at 3 a.m., the ticking grew louder, like it was inside your head. And then, silence. You opened your eyes. The clock was gone, but the man was in your room, standing at the foot of your bed, eyes empty. He opened his mouth, and from it came the sound of the watch. Tick, tick. Couldn't move. You couldn't breathe. He raised his hand and pointed at your chest. Then disappeared. You woke on Monday, Dot again dot, but this time, the clock read 3:19. 1 second further, something was coming, and you were running out of time. You wake on Monday, again, but the light feels different, heavier, as though dawn itself has grown tired of returning. You lie still, listening for the familiar birdsong at 7:03, the knock at 9:12, the distant hum of a world that refuses to advance. But the birds are silent today, and the house sits so still, you fear that time itself has finally snapped, leaving you adrift in a moment that will never end. You rise, heart hammering, and the floorboards groan a warning beneath your bare feet. The pocket watch rests on the nightstand, ticking now in a slow, steady rhythm. 3:19 and 5 seconds, 6, 7. Every loop it gains exactly 60 seconds. You understand now that when or if it reaches midnight, something final will happen. The knowledge chills you more deeply than the cold morning air. You dress without thinking, pulling on yesterday's clothes because tomorrow's will never come. The coffee pot gurgles when you press the button, but no aroma fills the kitchen. You unscrew the lid and find it empty, bone dry, though you've not used the grounds since the first Monday. The world is thinning around the edges, details wearing away like paint in the rain. Across the street, the gray-coated man stands beneath the skeletal hawthorn tree. His face remains a smear, as though your eyes refuse to focus on him, but you feel his attention like a hand on your throat. You raise the watch by its chain, and he tilts his head, the gesture awkward, mechanical, as if he has borrowed the idea of curiosity from some forgotten memory. You step outside. The grass still smells of damp earth, yet each blade appears identical, repeated, stamped by a lazy creator. The sky is a single sheet of low cloud, untextured and unmoving. The wind does not blow. You cross the street, the watch ticking louder with every step. But when you reach the tree, the man is gone, leaving only the faintest indentation in the Ocean. Mud as if a statue had stood there for centuries and vanished in the blink of an eye. You kneel and touch the impression. It is warm. A low chime rings behind you, not the watch, but a deeper bell that resonates in your bones. You spin, and the world blurs. The houses, the road, the sky collapse into streaks of color, swirling around a single fixed point, the watch in your trembling hand. The chain coils tighter around your wrist, metal digging into skin, drawing blood that hangs in the air like garnet pearls. You close your eyes and breathe. When you open them, you are back in the backyard, kneeling beside the hole where you first found the clock. The earth is undisturbed, as if you never dug here, yet the soil remembers. It pulses faintly beneath your palms. Something skitters below the surface, circling you like a predator, deciding where to bite. You dig with frantic hands, tearing at roots until nails split and fingers bleed. The ground yields reluctantly, revealing not one but dozens of pocket watches, all identical, all ticking at the same impossible time. They surround a larger object, an iron door handle attached to nothing, suspended in the dirt like a severed limb. When you touch the handle, the watches stop. Silence sweeps outward, reaching the town, the fields beyond, the horizon. Silence so complete it flattens thought, erases memory. You are a single moment of awareness in a void. Then a click. The handle turns beneath your hand, and the soil splits, opening downward into a staircase of packed earth. A soft glow rises from below, pulsing in sync with your heartbeat. You descend, leaving daylight behind. The stairs end at a wooden corridor that smells of rain-wet cedar and distant thunder. The walls are lined with photographs in tarnished frames. You hold the watch like a lantern, its faint luminescence revealing images of people you almost recognize, neighbors, relatives, strangers glimpsed on crowded sidewalks, all standing in front of clocks, frozen at different times. Every set of eyes stares out, pleading, accusing, resigned. At the corridor's end hangs a single mirror. You study your reflection. Your hair is streaked with gray you do not remember earning, and your eyes are ringed with looping weeks of exhaustion. Behind you, in the mirror's depth, the corridor continues far beyond what exists, spiraling into darkness. Figures move there. The gray-coated man, your mother, your grandfather, countless others, all holding stopped clocks. A voice issues from the mirror, gentle as falling ash. Time is a promise, Daniel. You broke it. You shake your head. I never asked for this. You answered, all the same. Your reflection steps forward, leaving the mirror entirely. It stands before you another, yet older, hollowed, wearing despair like a second skin. He or it opens a hand, revealing the pocket watch you hold. 2 watches, ticking in unison. When the last second falls, the other says, we trade places. You back away, but the corridor shrinks, walls pressing close. The photographs rattle, glass cracking. A storm you cannot see, but can feel, gathers behind the mirror, weans tugging at your clothes, whispering with voices ripped from forgotten Mondays. You look at the watch 3:23. 4 minutes gained since the first loop you noticed. How many loops until midnight? Too few. You shove the watch into the pocket of your other self. For an instant, the ticking falters, confused. You seize the mirror's edge, hauling it from the wall, smashing it onto the floorboards. Shards erupt like jagged snowflakes, each reflecting a unique moonless sky. The corridor shudders. A deep groan rolls through the earth. Your double collapses, leaking grains of sand instead of blood, dissolving into a mound that seeps between the floorboards. You run, mirror shards crunching underfoot, photographs bursting into flame as you pass. At the stairs you climb upward, expecting daylight, but emerge into your bedroom. Rain hammers the windows, though the sky outside is clear. On the bed lies the gray coat. Inside the pocket, the watch .320-4. You hurl it against the wall. It embeds in the plaster like a bullet. The ticking grows louder, reverberating through beams and joists. Dust dances with each pulse. Your phone rings. Caller ID, Daniel. You answer. Heart clawing your throat, your own voice whispers. 9 loops remain. The line dies. You look at the watch 320-5. 9 loops. 9 hours? 9 days? You don't know. You flee to the street. Cars pass, people walk dogs, children laugh, oblivious. But they are wrong, too bright, too sharp, repeating. Animations on a broken screen. You grab a passerby's arm. Her flesh ripples, revealing gears that clatter and spin before smoothing to skin again. She smiles blankly and walks on. Panic rises like bile. You stumble to the library, its doors hanging open. Inside, bookshelves stretch in impossible grids, titles repeating endlessly. History of Mondays, Chronicles of 17 Minutes, The Pocket Watch and You. Every page is blank save for a single line. Time is listening. You hear footsteps polite, measured. The librarian approaches. A tall woman with mismatched eyes. She offers a ledger and a pen made of glass. Sign, and the loops will cease, she says, voice echoing with distant bells. You almost do, but the pen drips liquid shadow, pooling on the ledger to spell your name before you write it. You drop pen and book, running back into the street. Sky splits. A fissure of darkness spirals overhead, revealing a clockwork heart beating between the clouds. Gears the size of planets turn, scraping sparks that fall as burning rain. People continue their loops, unaware as fire eats the daylight. You return home, driven by instinct or fate. The house breathes with you, boards flexing under each rapid step. You climb to the attic, a place unvisited in any loop. There you find another door plain wood, inscribed with the initials DM. The handle is warm. The watch ticks impossibly fast in your pocket. You open the door. Inside is a room filled with clocks, all frozen at different hours. In the center stands a colossal grandfather clock, its pendulum shattered. Beneath it, the gray-coated man waits. Face finally clear. It is you, older than thought, stitched from centuries, eyes vast with regret. He lifts the watch between thumb and forefinger. Time isn't broken, he says. You are. He offers the watch like a communion wafer. If you take it, he continues, the loop's end, for you. What about them? You ask, gesturing. To the world beyond the door. They were echoes already. You step back, refusing. He smiles, sorrowful, and places the watch on the pendulum. Hook. The clocks begin to tick. All of them. The sound is thunder, ocean, heartbeat, birth cry. The floor falls away. You hang suspended in a lattice of seconds, every loop visible as a corridor of light. You choose one at random and step into it. You land in Tuesday. The shock nearly splits your skull. The very taste of the day is different, brighter, bittersweet, laced with a possibility you have not felt since the first loop began. Sunlight pours through the kitchen window at an impossible angle, catching motes of flour, drifting from bread you do not remember baking. Somewhere a radio hums a song you have never heard. At first you think this is freedom. You stagger outside, expecting to see the world renewed, but the street is abandoned, every house stripped to gray silhouettes. The trees stand leafless, though. The air is warm and full of bees that hold perfectly still, wings frozen mid-beat. Time advances here, yes, but everything else stands waiting, uncertain how to proceed without its familiar Monday script. You walk until the town ends in a ragged edge where roads droop like ribbons into blank, colorless space. Beyond is nothing. No sky, no earth, just the hiss of static. When you throw a stone, it vanishes before crossing the boundary, swallowed by an invisible mouth. Spring slides into summer, cicadas pulsing like gentle engines. Neighbors finally appear, lending ladders, borrowing sugar, sharing stories. No one mentions loops. Every tale is imperfect, gloriously skewed. One evening, as the sun hemorrhages, gold across rooftops, you hear footsteps behind you on the porch. Turning, you see the gray-coated man no longer gray, but wearing a coat woven from starlight and dawn. He nods. You did not break the watch. I thought about it, you admit. He smiles, lines of light rippling across his cheeks. Breaking. Tools often breaks their lessons. Better to learn their language. He hands you a seed the size of a heartbeat. Plant this when you feel the itch of repetition. It will grow unpredictably, reminding you that endings are inventions. You accept the seed, warm as flesh. When you look up, he is gone, coat dissolving into the hush between cicada calls. You plant it in the garden beside the jasmine. By morning, a vine spirals into the sky, blossoming flowers that change color whenever you blink. Children from town come to marvel. You brew tea from a single petal and taste every summer of your youth at once. The watch ticks. Again, 3:33. You realize each tick is not a threat, but a pulse, your pulse growing stronger as you expand into the space-time offers. You set the watch by the window where dawn can paint it new each day. Years slip over the horizon. Paths twist. Friends leave, return, transform. You learn that regret is a compass pointing backward, but you are a traveler forward. Sometimes you still wake at 3:17, heart racing, afraid the loop has returned. But the sky lightens and birds improvise new melodies, and you laugh into the pillow, grateful for the uncertainty. On the 10th anniversary of your arrival, you host a gathering. Lanterns float above the yard, carrying small handwritten wishes. As they drift toward the moon, the watch rings for the first time a clear, single chime that echoes through the valley. Guests pause, listening, then resume dancing, their rhythm slightly altered, as though the chime synchronized them with a dimension of kindness. Later, alone, you open the back of the watch. Inside, instead of gears, you find a miniature garden. Jasmine, vine, and a single boulder beside a winding river. Tiny you sits upon it, waving. You wave back. The miniature you mouths words you cannot hear, but you understand. Keep going. You close the watch, tuck it into your pocket, and step off the porch into dew-silvered grass. The horizon blushes with first light, and somewhere a train horn calls, promising new miles. You walk toward the dawn without counting the seconds. Night of the 13th year, it is autumn again, leaves swirling like copper coins across the porch. You sit by the fire, rereading notes from the first chaotic loops, wondering how a life so constricted could stretch into such gentle sprawl. The watch, resting on the mantel, glows faintly. Its face is blank now, numbers melted into a smooth, opal sheen. A gust rattles the windows. The flames hesitate, leaning sideways as though listening. You rise, drawn by a hush outside. On the porch rail lies a new pocket watch, identical to the first, but untouched by wear. A slip of parchment flutters beneath it. For the next traveler dot, your pulse quickens. You glance back to the mantel, your watch remains warm and serene. When you look again at the new one, its hands spin backwards, winding through invisible days until they freeze at midnight. The garden gate creaks. Down the path stands a figure slender, uncertain, burdened by an exhaustion you recognize too. Well, in flickering firelight, you see a young woman clutching a journal, eyes wide with hope and dread. She doesn't see you at first. She only sees the house, the rail, the watch meant for her hands. And you understand? Time opens doors for those willing to walk through. You step forward, watch in palm, feeling the faint echo of your earliest terror. But now it is tempered by the years that followed, by jasmine summers and vine winters. Startles when she notices you, retreating a step. You smile. "It's all right," you say, voice steady as the river in your pocket. Time brings questions, but answers grow. She hesitates, then approaches. Her hands tremble as she accepts the watch. It warms instantly, lighting her face from below. "Do I do?" she whispers. "Live," you reply. "Learn its song. And when the loops frighten you, remember they only circle what you refuse to face." You point toward the jasmine, still blooming though frost laces its petals. Plant something unpredictable. Tears rim her eyes, reflecting hearth gold. She nods, clutching the watch like a fragile dream. You walk her to the porch and offer. Tea brewing in a copper kettle. Steam spirals into the night, carrying stories yet unwritten. As you pour, a soft chime rings from your own watch, resting quietly against your heart. 3:34. You laugh a surprised, delighted sound. Time laughs too, rain beginning in gentle applause on the roof. The young woman smiles, hearing music where once she might have heard doom. You both sit beneath the eaves, sipping tea while storm clouds gather, every droplet a note in a symphony neither of you can predict. Somewhere beyond sight, clocks large. As worlds set their hands forward, welcoming new possibilities dot, and in the hush between thunder and memory, the garden grows. You don't open the drawer for 3 days. The watch rests inside, silent, unmoving, like a heart that forgot how to beat. The air in the house feels normal now. Days pass. Rain falls at unexpected hours. The radio plays songs you don't remember. Hearing before, the calendar flips. Nothing repeats. Nothing speaks your name in the dark. You tell yourself you're free, but freedom has sharp edges, and silence cuts deeper than noise. On the 4th night, you hear a sound from the backyard. A soft clink, like metal brushing metal. You step outside barefoot, feeling the cold dew soak into your skin. The moon is high, pale, watching. You reach the jasmine bush, the one you planted seasons ago. At its base is a small indentation in the soil. And there, half buried, lies another watch, identical to the first. You pick it up with shaking fingers. It's warm and ticking. You whisper to no one. I didn't plant this. The watch ticks louder in your hand. You turn it over. The initials are gone. In their place is a question mark. You feel something shift in the air. The stars above you rearrange, just slightly. Constellations flicker and slide, as if realigning themselves to watch what you'll do next. You bring the watch inside and place it on the table. Keeps ticking. No time frozen, just forward movement. Steady, intentional. But that's what terrifies you most. You don't sleep. You watch it. Every tick echoes in your chest. You try to write it down. The feeling, the memory, the way the soil still clung to your fingers like ash, but your pen stalls. Every word vanishes before the ink can dry. You light a candle instead. You stare into the flame. You whisper, "What now?" A whisper answers, not from the house, not from your mind, but from the hollow place just behind your breath. Left the door open. You bolt upright. No one is there, but the drawer, the one with the original watch, is open now. You know you didn't touch it. Inside, the first watch is ticking again. 3:30-7. And beneath it, tucked in the velvet lining, is a key. Old. Iron. Marked with a tiny engraving. R0. You hold it carefully. You don't know what it unlocks, but you know what it invites. The attic groans overhead. You climb the stairs, key tight in your fist. At the top, the trapdoor to the attic is ajar, just slightly. You've never left it open before. You push it gently. Inside. The space is different. Not dusty, not cold. It feels used, lived in. The air smells of oil and lavender. And at the far end, where there once was bare wood, now stands a door. Solid, ancient, pulsing faintly in the candlelight. There's a keyhole. You hesitate. The watches tick in unison. Now. The one from the drawer. The one from the garden. You insert the key. It turns smoothly. The door opens. And beyond is not an attic. It's a corridor of clocks. Hundreds of them. Wall mounted, standing, pocket-sized, wrist-bound, gear-driven, sand-fed. Everyone frozen, except one. In the center of the corridor. A long table holds a single clock. A simple one, black hands, white face, no numbers. It ticks steadily. You approach it slowly, your own breath timed to its rhythm. Beside it lies a note. You are not the first. You look up. The corridor stretches farther than you thought. Doors line each side, marked with initials. Some you. RECOGNIZEDMRGASLTEV. One door is marked simply, you. It's already open. Inside is a small room. A desk, a chair, a journal bound in dark leather. You open it. The first page reads, "This is your record." You flip through. Each page is blank until you touch it. Then words bloom like ink in water. Loop count, 144. Clock activation, 3:17 to 3:37. Last disruption. Sequence broken at R.0. Partial restoration. You don't understand. You turn another page. A question forms. Would you like to reset? Your hand trembles. You write, "No." The book replies, "Then remember what came before." The room darkens. The walls ripple. You feel it, the pull, not just of memory. Of time itself, curling inward. You close the journal. The corridor is silent. Now, all the clocks have stopped. Exit slowly. Back into the attic. Back into the house. The air is still. You descend the stairs. The house has changed. Again, photographs you don't recognize hang on the walls. People with your face. But older, younger, sadder. Happier versions reflections you walk into the living room. The watch from the garden is gone. The one from the drawer is gone in their place. On the coffee table is a compass. Its needle spins slowly, ticking like a clock. North, south, east, west. The letters flicker, replaced with other symbols. You don't recognize them. You lift the compass. The world shifts. The walls breathe. You understand now. It was never about going back. It was about going deeper. You walk outside. The sky is dark, but not with night. With distance. You see the curve of time overhead, a dome of layered realities, each shimmering like a page, halfway turned. The compass needle points forward. Not north. Not home. Not safe. Just forward. You take the first step, and the world changes. You take the step forward, and the ground beneath you dissolves into something softer than memory, more fluid than time. The compass in your hand pulses faintly with each heartbeat, its needle no longer spinning, but pointing, unwavering, toward a horizon that doesn't exist yet. Behind you, the house has disappeared, not collapsed, not destroyed. Simply never there. Only the scent of jasmine remains, clinging to your clothes like the final note of a song fading into silence. The world around you has become a field of mirrors. They don't reflect you. Each one shows a version of the life you might have lived. You pause before one mirror. Inside, you're older, surrounded by books. A small child sits in your lap, laughing as you read aloud. Your hair is gray. Your face is calm. There's no watch. No ticking. Another mirror shows a different version. You alone in a high-rise apartment. Lights blinking outside the window. You stare blankly at the city. A drink in your hand. A television flickering. No clocks. No people. Each mirror is a question. Each reflection a choice. But none are real. Not yet. You keep walking. The mirrors thin out. The path curves. And suddenly, you're in a hallway made of soft, ticking air. Every breath sounds like a clock hand. Moving. You try to speak, but your voice echoes as bells, deep, cathedral-like, vibrating through your bones. You pass a door, then another, all marked with numbers you don't recognize. They move as you look at them. Shifting sequences, impossible math. You realize they are timestamps, not hours, not minutes, moments. You open one. Inside, a memory plays. You, as a child, sitting on your father's shoulders, pointing at the stars. You open another. You, in a hospital room, saying goodbye. You open a third. You're here, now, watching yourself walk past this hallway. You stop opening doors, not because they frighten you, but because you no longer need to. You remember. The loops weren't punishment. They were protection. You weren't trapped by time. You were shielded from what came after it. The compass glows brighter. You walk faster. The path begins to slope upward, light growing at the end. Not warm, not cold, just honest. It hums a single note, the same tone as the ticking once did, but stretched across forever. You step into it. And suddenly, you're standing in a room. Your room. But it's not your room. The colors are wrong. The photos show people you don't know. The air smells of cinnamon and something ancient. The bed is made. On the pillow lies the original pocket watch. It reads 338. It's the only one that still ticks. Next to it, a letter, addressed to you, but not from you. You unfold it slowly. The paper is soft. Older than paper should be. The handwriting is neat, precise, familiar. It reads, Daniel, you've come far, farther than most. This isn't the end, but it is your release. You never broke time. You held it, protected it, repaired it with your persistence. The loops weren't prisons. They were instructions. And now that you've read them all, you are free to write. Whatever comes next is yours to shape, not as a passenger, but as an architect. You are not the one bound to the ticking anymore. You are the one who decides when it starts again. Dot at the bottom. There's a symbol, not a signature, but a shape, a spiral. Dot infinite. Gentle. Dot alive. Dot you fold the letter and place it in your pocket. You pick up the watch. Dot. It is warm again. Quiet. Dot, and as you hold it, it stops. Dot the world doesn't shake. Nothing collapses. Dot instead, a stillness unfolds. Not silence, a resting breath. The kind that happens before a story begins. You step outside. The world is different, not strange, not surreal, just full. The sky moves at its own pace. The wind has direction. The trees lean toward the light without fear. Time exists here, but it's no longer in charge. You meet people. They don't repeat themselves. You tell stories. They change. With each telling, you live. Not in loops, not in fear, but in flow. Find a new home. Dot, not the old house, but something softer. Dot walls that shift when you need them to. Windows that open to wherever you're ready to look. You keep the watch, but you never wind it. Dot, it rests on a shelf near the door. A reminder, a relic of the time that tried to define you but didn't. Years pass. Real years. You learn. Things you never had the space to learn before. You forget some things, too, but that's how you know it's real. You dream, sometimes, of the corridor of clocks, of mirrors, of the figure in the gray coat. He never speaks anymore, but he nods. Dot, as if to say, yes. Dot, this is what it was all for. One night, after a storm, you hear something tapping gently on the window. You open it, and a breeze carries in a small folded note. You recognize the handwriting. Immediately. Dot, yours. Dot, it says only, are you ready to begin again? You smile. You walk to the shelf. You pick up the watch. You turn the crown. Dot, it ticks once, and the world unfolds. Second story. The tenant upstairs never slept. Asterisk. You never expected the silence to be so loud. When you first moved into the building, it felt like a blessing. Tucked at the edge of a sleepy neighborhood, a 3-story brick complex built sometime in the 40s. Your unit, 2B, had wood floors, creaky charm, a narrow balcony that overlooked a maple-lined street. The rent was cheap. The neighbors invisible. Dot, it was what you needed. After everything that came before, the noise, the crowding, the smothering mess of your last life, all you wanted was quiet, a place where you could breathe again. And for a while, that's what it was. Dot, until the footsteps started. The first night you barely noticed them, soft pacing overhead around midnight, like someone rearranging furniture or walking restless circles. Before bed, you didn't think much of it. Everyone has their routines. Some people pace to think. You do sometimes. But the second night, it was the same. Dot, same hour, same rhythm. The sound came and went like a pulse. 5 steps forward, pause, turn, 5 steps back. Again and again. From midnight until dawn. Dot, the third night, it was louder. Dot, not stopping, just constant, measured, relentless. You put a pillow over your head. You turned on the fan. You even tried white noise. Nothing drowned it out. Dot, by the end of the week, your nerves were fraying. You started counting the steps. 5 forward, 5 back. Dot, it never stopped. Not once, not even to rest. You asked the landlord, a soft-voiced man named Gregory, who always smelled faintly of coffee and wood varnish, if the tenant upstairs could try to keep it down at night. Blinked at you. There's no one in 3B, he said. You stared at him, waiting for the joke. He wasn't joking. It's been empty for months, he added. Hasn't been rented since Mrs. Finch passed. You asked if maybe someone was sneaking in. He said the doors were locked. The building had a camera, even if it didn't always work. No one had come or gone. You asked if you could go up and... Check. He gave you the spare key. That night, just before midnight, you stood outside the door to 3B. You waited. The footsteps started. Right on time. You opened the door. Darkness. The air inside was cold. Still, you flipped the switch. The lights flickered, then held. The apartment was empty. Completely. No furniture. No footprints on the dust-covered floor. No signs of squatters. No open windows. No disturbed corners. The only thing in the room was a small chair by the front window, and even that looked untouched. But the footsteps hadn't stopped. They continued even as you walked across the room. Even as you stood in the center, spinning slowly, listening. The sound was above you now. You looked up. Nothing but ceiling. You went home. You didn't sleep. The next day, the footsteps returned, as if nothing had happened. You stopped asking questions after that. You tried to ignore it. You bought earplugs. You moved your bed to the far side of the room. Nothing worked. Midnight arrived, and the pattern began. 5 forward. 5 back. Pause. Repeat. You began waking up at 11:59. Body trained like clockwork. You started dreaming of shoes scraping across hardwood, of breathless pacing, of a rhythm that grew louder the longer you tried to forget it. And then, one night, it changed. The steps paused longer. Then took 6 strides forward. 6 back. You sat up in bed, cold sweat dampening your chest. You listened. 6. Then 7. Then 8. It wasn't pacing anymore. It was moving. You followed the sound with your ears, tracking it through the ceiling, from the bedroom to the living room. Then toward the front door. It stopped. You waited, heartbeat loud. Then a knock. Not on your door, from inside the ceiling. 3 sharp knocks. As if someone were trying to come through. You didn't move. You barely breathed. The next morning, you asked Gregory again, "Are you sure no one's in 3B? He looked at you a long time before answering. "There's no one alive in 3B, he said carefully. You wanted to laugh. UDIDN single quotes T. Instead, you asked him about Mrs. Finch. He hesitated. "Nice woman," he said. Quiet. Kept to herself. Walked. A lot. He smiled at his own words. She never liked to sit still. What happened to her? You asked. He looked out the window. She walked herself right out of time, I think. You didn't ask what that meant. You didn't want to know. But that night, you found a note taped to your door. No handwriting. Just 5 words. Typed on yellowing paper. Don't follow the sound up. You stared at it. No name. No apartment number. Just that one sentence. Don't follow the sound up. But you already had. And something knew it. The note stays taped to your door for 2 days, because you cannot bring yourself to peel it off. It feels like a ward, a thin paper talisman that somehow keeps the sound from pressing closer. Yet every time you walk past, the letters blur, at the edges of your vision, as if your eyes refuse to hold them in focus for longer than a heartbeat. You try to convince yourself the message is a prank, maybe the kid from 1A, maybe the courier who delivers packages too late at night, but in the marrow of your bones, you know that whoever wrote it never uses the stairs, never touches the elevator, buttons, never even leaves footprints in dust. Midnight comes, and with it the footfalls. They resume at the exact second. The hall clock downstairs sighs past 12. 5 forward, 5 back. The rhythm is a barber's razor stropped against your nerves. She. You lie in bed with every light off, hands crossed over your chest like a badly crafted effigy, and you count. When the number reaches the edge of sanity, you start again, whispering into the dark. hoping your breath will muffle the ceiling dot. It does not dot at 3 minutes past 2. The pattern shifts. 6 paces, 7, 8, and then a drag, a sound like a heel catching on warped hardwood. The drag becomes a scrape, and the scrape becomes a presence that settles directly above your sternum. You can almost picture the boards bulging, the joists bending, dust sifting between microscopic cracks, to fall like gray pollen onto your sheets. You imagine inhaling that dust and tasting a stranger's dreams. You do not remember falling asleep, yet dawn finds you sprawled sideways across the mattress, mouth dry, arms numb. Shafts of watery light creep through the blinds and paint prison. Bars on the floor. For a single fragile moment, the building is silent. No steps, no distant radio, no throat clearing from 1C. Just the brittle hush of an apartment holding its breath. Your skull throbs with wasted adrenaline, and behind your eyes, the darkness of last night still pulses, as though the thin skin of morning cannot fully contain it. You brew coffee strong enough to scour rust, then carry the mug onto the balcony. Below, the maple trees tremble in a breeze that never quite reaches you. A delivery truck idles, doors open, driver scanning parcels with zombie efficiency. Normal life. Ordinary. Yet overhead, in the empty air where 3B's balcony should be, you swear you hear faint leather soles brushing concrete 3 steps, perhaps 4, and then quiet laughter, low and brittle, like a music box wound past. Its limit dot, you retreat inside and slide the balcony door shut so quickly the glass wobbles in the track. Your reflection stares back, eyes sleepless, jaw stubbled, shoulders hunched. You look like the before photograph in an advertisement for a miracle cure. You wonder what the after shot would require: 10 hours of rest, a room without ghosts, a ceiling that knows how to be still. That afternoon, you skip work for the first time in years. You tell yourself it's only one sick day, but the truth is you fear the footsteps might follow you elsewhere, into the fluorescent aisles of the grocery store or the too bright lobby of your office. Instead, you want answers. Internet forums, local newspaper archives, property records that list your building under 3 different corporations across 5 decades. Every path ends in fog. No mention of Mrs. Finch's cause of death. No adverts for the vacant 3rd floor unit. No renovation permits that would explain why the floorboards above your ceiling sometimes groan like a ship's hull in heavy seas. At 6, you knock on Gregory's door. He answers in slippers and a cardigan the color of old moss. The smell of varnish is stronger tonight, tinged with something sharper lacquer, solvent, panic. You ask to see the security feed for the 3rd floor. He hesitates, scratching a thumbnail across the seam of his pocket, then ushers you into a cramped office lined with VHS tapes stacked like mausoleum drawers. He digs through a shoebox for a remote, jams a tape into the machine. Gray static resolves into a grainy angle of the 3rd floor hallway, dated 3 months ago. The corridor is dark, the single light bulb flickering every few seconds like a dying pulse. Nothing moves. Gregory replaces the tape with another, dated 2 months ago. Same stillness, same flicker. He cycles faster. Last month, last week, last night. Not once does a shape cross the frame. No shadow bends. No door yawns open. The only movement comes from the bulb, winking its slow code to unseen things. Gregory ejects the tape, wipes invisible dust from its spine. "See?" he murmurs, voice thinner than usual. Empty as a drum. His hand shakes when he offers you a mug of chamomile. You refuse, spotting discoloration under his fingernails, tiny crescents of black grit. Wood dust? Dirt? Dried blood? You do not ask, because part of you already knows the answer will be useless. Or, worse, perfectly logical. Night approaches like ink poured into water, curling into every corner faster than you expect. You eat stale crackers for dinner and wash, them down with mouthfuls of water that taste faintly metallic. Outside, rain gathers in a silence so complete you can imagine hearing individual drops negotiating with gravity. 1150-9. You sit on the floor, back against the sofa, eyes locked on the ceiling. You do not blink. You will not meet the first step with a start. You will greet it on your own terms. Midnight slides over the building like a shadow cast by an ocean liner. The clock on the stove clicks once digital relay, soft but final. Above, 5 forward. 5 back. The cadence is a coin spinning too long on a tabletop. You count in Greek to confuse your brain. When you reach delta, epsilon, the pattern shifts. 6, 7, 8. Drag, knock, knock, knock. Except tonight, the third knock lands an octave lower, as though delivered through thicker wood. Something inside the wall behind you quivers. You place your palm against plaster. It feels cool, but living a pulse thrums, syncopated with the steps. You grab your phone, thumbs clumsy, and call Gregory. Straight to voicemail. You picture him asleep, every light off or crouched in that office, cataloging tapes whose footage he will never watch again. Knock, knock, knock. The wall flexes. Hairline cracks scrawl outward, sketching a spiderweb you swear you can see growing. Dust sifts down, peppering your knees, scenting the air with limestone and old breath. You stumble back, coughing. Through the haze. You glimpse movement in the ceiling, an oval darkening, turning damp, as though someone upstairs spilled water that instantly bled through plaster. The stain elongates, pulses, and resolves into a footprint. Another forms beside it. Then another. They march across the ceiling, each step matching the rhythm above. At the midpoint they pause, heels grinding scrape, and when the next footfall lands the stain widens, tears, becomes a split eyelid. Something inside tries to blink. Fight or flight derails. You cannot run. You cannot scream. All you can do is stare as the split widens and the ceiling exhales a single word you don't hear with your ears, but with the small, frightened child curled in the root of your spine. Down. Every lamp flares, floods the room with more bright light. The stains vanish. The cracks knit shut. Silence seals the hole like scar tissue. You tumble backward against the coffee table, lungs clawing at air. The room smells of ozone and old. Lavender, the scent of linens folded decades ago and left untouched in cedar chests. Yet you spend the remaining hours before dawn in the bathtub, shower running cold, curtain drawn. Water drums against enamel and masks every sound except the ones invented by your imagination. When enough gray slips through the bathroom window, you shut off the water and sit in the dripping hush, wondering if you slept at all. That morning, you email your boss requesting a week of leave. You blame a family emergency. She answers with clipped concern, but you do not care. The apartment has become your entire geography, a map you must learn before you can hope to escape its borders. You measure rooms, knock on panels, tap boards, listening for hollows. Where you tap, a countertap sometimes returns. 2 beats to your 1, 4 to your 3, like a distant drummer improvising harmony. In the bedroom closet, you find a hatch you swear was not there before a square of. Plywood nailed crudely between studs. You pry it open and discover a narrow chute descending into darkness. Cold air gusts upward, smelling of pennies and thunderstorms. You drop a marble. It clinks against wood, bounces, and rolls for a full minute before silence eats it. You seal the hatch and stack boxes against it. Yet at dusk, a breeze still creeps from the cracks, bringing whispers that tick at the edges of comprehension. 5 forward, 5 back. Trade your breath for tracks. Night 5. Midnight. The ritual repeats. but new layers weave into the sound. Faint humming, as if someone upstairs is serenading an invisible audience. The melody is neither major nor minor, but some bruise-colored key that leaves your teeth aching. Intervals collapse into each other, notes overlapping like footprints in mud. You switch on the recorder app on your phone, set it on the nightstand, and crawl under blankets you no longer trust. At dawn, you play the file back and hear nothing but your uneasy breathing. The footsteps, the humming, the knocks gone. As though the phone refused to remember. A neighbor corners you in the lobby that afternoon. Mrs. Kwan, Unit 1D. White curls, cautious eyes behind bifocals. "You're the one upstairs from me," she says, voice hushed, conspiratorial. "I've been hearing things." Her fingers tremble where they rest on the mail cart. Before you can speak, she adds, "They say the third-floor windows glow some nights. Candles, maybe. You ever see them?" You shake your head. She sighs, twisting her wedding ring. "When Mr. Finch died long time ago, bless him, she walked. All night, up there alone." A flicker passes through her eyes, like a match risked in wind. "After the funeral, we kept hearing her. Weeks after, we thought grief, you know. But one night the footsteps stopped, and in the morning, the super found the door locked from the inside and no one there. Apartment was clean, bed made, mirror polished." Mrs. Kwan shivers. "That was 9 years back. Been empty ever since. Except for the walking, your mouth tastes of copper." You ask what really happened to Mrs. Finch. She shrugs. "Doctor said heart. Pastor said soul too restless. I say some people leave deep footprints, so deep the floor remembers." She pats your arm and totters away. Shoes squeaking dot. You climb the stairwell to the roof, hoping altitude might offer clarity. Rooftop gravel crunches. Pigeons scatter. The air smells of tar and old smoke. You peer over the parapet at the blank. Windows of 3B. Curtains drawn, glass dusty, but behind one pane, something flickers like candlelight, or the reflection of a distant fire. You lift your phone to zoom, but the screen washes white, lens unable to focus. When you lower it, the flicker is gone. That evening you draft a letter handwritten, fountain pen, midnight blue ink. Who are you? What do you want? Underneath, you add a single offering. I will listen. You fold the paper, climb to 3B, and slip it under the door. For a heartbeat, your fingertips buzz, as if static charges the threshold. You retreat to 2B, heart banging out a code your brain struggles to decrypt. Answer arrives before midnight. You do not hear the envelope slide. You simply sense presence and open the door to find it waiting on the mat. No handwriting. Just typed letters, off-center on the page. You already know the pattern. Step inside it. Heat knots behind your eyes. You tear the note into ribbons that feel too soft, like skin. Yet when midnight tolls, you obey. You stand beneath the center of the living room ceiling and match the rhythm. 5 forward, pause, 5 back. You pace until sweat dampens. Your caller, until muscles burn, until the rhythm blurs. At some point, you stop counting. At some point, the footsteps above fade, leaving only yours. When exhaustion drops you to your knees, silence resonates through the floor, a silence so dense, your heartbeat ricochets off it like marbles in a steel drum. Into that hush comes a final knock, soft as a mother's goodnight. Wood sighs. Plaster crumbles. A single object slips through a new crack in the ceiling and lands in your open palm. A key, twin to the spare Gregory once gave you, except the metal is ice cold and etched with 2 letters M.F. Mrs. Finch. You do not sleep. You wait for dawn, like a defendant awaiting sentence. The building remains still, as though every brick strains to hear your next breath. At 7, you confront Gregory on the stoop. He flinches at the key, turns it over, swallows. That belonged to her, he whispers. I buried it with her things. His gaze drifts across the street to the maple trees. Where did you find it? You want to say it found me, but words. Fail. Gregory rubs the key between thumb and forefinger. Maybe she wants you to finish her walk. You realize he believes this. You realize part of you does too. It never ends, you murmur. Everything ends. His smile is brittle. Even walking. He presses the key into your palm and retreats inside, locking the door with a rattle that echoes like a deadbolt sliding across the sky. You stand on the stoop a long while, the chill little branding your skin. Clouds shroud the sun, and the day dims prematurely, as if time itself hesitates, unsure whether to advance. You turn the key over once, twice, then close your fist. Tonight you will go upstairs. Tonight you will open 3B, and whatever walks, you will walk beside it. You wait until the building sleeps. Not the hour the clock suggests sleep should begin. Not 11, not even midnight, but the hour after, when the silence deepens, when even the anxious shiftings of night owls and insomniacs have faded into breathless stillness. Only then do you move. The key she left you, or the building did, sits heavy in your coat pocket, a metal colder than it has any right to be. It has not warmed despite the passage of days, as though whatever it unlocks resists heat, or memory. The stairwell creaks under your weight, betraying each footfall, even though you step with practiced care. You've climbed these stairs dozens of times, but tonight they feel different. Longer, slightly skewed, the corners not quite right. Like someone rearranged the architecture while you weren't looking. You pause at the top. The hallway leading to 3B is darker than usual. The overhead light bulb, once prone to flickering, is out completely. But there's a faint glow seeping from under the door of the vacant apartment. It pulses, not quickly, not in time with your breath or your heartbeat. In time with something else. You grip the key. Its teeth are unfamiliar now, sharp where they should be smooth. You wonder if they've changed since you last looked. You wonder if they've been waiting. You step forward. The doorknob turns under your hand too easily, as if it has already accepted you. The key slips in with a soft metallic sigh. The lock doesn't click. It exhales, and the door swings open. The air inside 3B is still. Not stale, not musty, just waiting. It smells like nothing and something all at once. Cold soap, old cedar, lavender crushed into floorboards decades ago. You inhale it, and something in your chest loosens. The apartment is furnished now. Don't remember it being furnished. But here it is. A narrow rug with faded floral print. A coffee table with a single unlit candle. 2 armchairs facing each other, too close for comfort. A tall grandfather clock in the far corner, its pendulum. UNMOVING. A bed, not a mattress on the floor, but a full brass-framed bed, stands against the far wall. The sheets are tucked tight. The pillows are dented as if someone just rose from them. And the chair by the window, the only piece you remember, is still there. Occupied. You stop. Your breath knots in your throat. You see her. Not clearly. Just the silhouette of a woman sitting in the chair, back straight, shoulders small beneath a shawl of indistinct fabric. Her head doesn't move. Her hands rest in her lap. You can't see her face. You whisper, "Mrs. Finch?" The room doesn't echo. The name vanishes into the carpet. The figure doesn't answer, but the clock in the corner begins to tick. Once. Then again. Then in rhythm. 5 beats. Pause. 5 more. And the figure rises. Not abruptly. Not threateningly. As if roused by memory rather than noise. She turns, and there is no face. Only a shimmer, like heat haze. like a moment unremembered trying to form itself. You step back, but not out of fear. Out of reverence. You know, somehow, that this is not a haunting. This is a ritual. She walks 5 paces forward. She turns, walks 5 back. Each step is deliberate. Measured. Her feet make no sound, but you feel them. In the soles of your own, in your jaw, in the base of your spine. You stand still, watching her move. You know the pattern. You know what it wants. You mirror her. 5 steps forward, turning in the same rhythm. 5 steps back. The room grows colder. Or warmer. Hard to say. Time blurs. The walls stretch. You don't know how long you walk. It could be minutes, hours, years. But eventually, you feel it. A shift, a sink. Your steps. Hers a line. Exactly. Perfectly. And she stops. You stop. The candle on the table ignites. No match. No spark. It simply catches. And you see her face. Not old. Not young. Not human. Quite. Her features are stitched from shadow and silence. Her eyes hold stairwells. Her mouth is the pause between knocks. She speaks, but you don't hear it in your ears. You hear it in your ribs. Welcome home. You stagger back. The room wavers. The grandfather clock's hands spin backward. Time peels away like wallpaper, and the apartment is gone. You stand in a corridor. Endless. Doors stretch in either direction. Some ajar, some shut, some sealed with wax, and the ceiling? Gone. Only sky above. Moonless. STARLESS. Breathing. You take a step forward, and the floor pulses beneath your feet. You are not in your building anymore. You are in the place the building remembers. The place the footsteps go when they aren't heard. You pass a door, labeled to be. Yours. You see yourself inside, sleeping, or trying to. You look older, or newer, or simply out of phase. You keep walking. You see Gregory, sitting in a chair made of wire, staring at a screen that plays nothing but static. You see Mrs. Kwan, surrounded by dozens of clocks, none of them ticking. You see Mrs. Finch, not in one room. In all of them. Walking. Endlessly. She sees you. Smiles. Aside. Invites you in. You hesitate. Then step through. And find yourself in your own apartment. But not quite. The rug is wrong. The shadows are too long. The pictures on the wall, you don't recognize any of them. The watch on your wrist, one you've never owned, ticks steadily. It reads 3:17. You blink. And everything resets. You don't sleep anymore. Not in the traditional sense. Not in the way that wraps your body in warmth and steals you softly into dreams. Sleep now feels like something you visit rather than something that takes you. A threshold you step across. Half willing, half watching, waiting for the weightless drop that never quite comes. Instead, you drift. The apartment has grown strange again. You notice it in the corners. First, angles where walls meet at just the wrong degree. Shadows that bend without sources. Reflections in glass that twitch a half second out of sync. Your kitchen. Light flickers on when you breathe too deeply. The faucet leaks a rhythm you recognize but can't place. And above you, always above you, the footsteps return. But they are no longer pacing. They're learning. They mimic your stride now. When you walk, they walk. When you pause, they pause. Sometimes you catch them getting ahead of you, stepping before you step, as if anticipating your movement, like an overfamiliar ghost. The key still rests in your pocket. You haven't returned to 3B since the last time. You're not sure you ever left. The hallway outside your door has grown longer. Or perhaps your legs have forgotten distance. You count the floorboards. 13 from the elevator to your unit. Then 14. Then 15. The corridor breathes. You try to ignore it. Gregory avoids you now. Not out of malice, you think, but recognition. He sees it in your eyes, the way your pupils don't quite center anymore, the way your voice carries a half note as someone else's echo. He once said people leave deep footprints. You now understand that sometimes people become them. It's on the 5th night after the reset that the knocking begins again. Not the slow, deliberate pattern of before. This time, it's desperate. Clumsy. From underneath. You sit up in bed, sheets tangled around your knees like vines. The ceiling is quiet, too quiet. You strain your ears. Knock. You look down. It's coming from the floor. You rise. Tiptoe into the living room, barefoot against cold wood. The knocking continues, soft, rhythmic, pleading. You drop to your knees and press your ear against the floorboards. Nothing. But when you close your eyes, you hear it not as sound, but as memory. A voice without language. An emotion shaped like tapping. It's saying, let me out. You knock back. Once. Twice. 3 times. Then silence. And then a heartbeat. Not yours. Underneath the building. Massive. Ancient. Slow. The walls tremble. Dust weeps from the vents. A book falls from your shelf and lands spine up on the floor. You recognize the title. You've never owned it. The pages flutter open to a section titled Inheritance of Motion. You read the first line aloud. Some places remember how to move. The ink bleeds as you speak. The letters melt down the page like wax, dripping into the grain of the wood floor. You back away, but the floor shifts. One of the boards buckles upward slightly, as though something beneath is pressing, waiting, searching for an exit. You don't touch it. You wait. And eventually it subsides. But the board never settles flat. Again. It rises like a knuckle, flexing in slow increments when you pass. That night, your dreams are fevered and labyrinthine. You walk endless halls that pulse with red carpet and quiet sobbing. You find a door labeled Floor 4, even though your building has only 3. The handle is hot, almost pulsing, and when you open it, wind pours out. Wind that smells like old breath and the underside of floorboards. Inside, there's a staircase spiraling downward. You descend. The walls whisper names you almost recognize. Steps never end. You wake to a single footprint on your chest. Not dirt. Not blood. Just the indentation. As if something stood there while you slept, watching. You shower for an hour, scrubbing skin until it burns. When you return to the bedroom, the footprint is gone. But the board in the living room is now cracked. Slightly. And from beneath, faintly, a ticking begins. You check the grandfather clock upstairs, but you never made it back to 3B. You haven't stepped over that threshold since the night she said, "Welcome home." But you hear it now. Footsteps in the ceiling, but also beneath. Above. And behind the mirrors. You remove the bathroom mirror one morning, compelled by something unspeakable. Behind it, you find not wiring, not drywall, but wood. Old, painted over too many times to count. Carved into its surface is a word. Again. You lean closer. The wall exhales. And your reflection, just for a moment, doesn't follow. You scream. But no sound leaves your throat. The building has stolen your voice. Begin writing notes instead. You keep a journal. Though your handwriting degrades each day, the loops of your letters widening like stretched sinew. The pressure of the pen growing erratic. You find phrases you don't remember writing. You are the rhythm now. Walk enough, and the floor becomes skin. She is not the one who walks. She is the one who waits for you too. You stop writing. You begin pacing instead. 5 steps forward, 5 back. You forget why you started. You forget when you stop. Sometimes you see the hall window filled with fog, even on clear days. Inside the fog, silhouettes, not people, not exactly, just impressions. Shapes made of motion, endlessly circling. You draw the curtains. You stop opening the blinds. One afternoon, Mrs. Kwan knocks. You flinch at the sound. When you answer, she's holding a tin of almond cookies and a flashlight. Her voice trembles. I remembered something, she says. About Mrs. Finch. You usher her in, glad, desperate, for another human presence. She sits, shaking, hands trembling. She used to talk about maps, she says. She believed the building was a map. To what? Mrs. Kwan shrugs. She won't meet your eyes. I think she was trying to walk her way out of something. She leaves you with the flashlight. Sometimes, she says at the door, things only happen in the dark. That night, you wait until midnight. Then you turn off every light in the apartment, even the fridge light. You sit in the dark, holding the flashlight, refusing to use it. At 12:31, the wall cracks. At 12:44, the cracked floorboard begins to hum. At 12:59, your apartment goes completely silent. No refrigerator. No outside traffic. No wind. And in that silence, you hear it call on, breathing. Not yours. Close. Behind. You don't turn. You wait. The breath grows colder, and a whisper cuts through the dark like a blade. Finish the walk. Your hand grips the flashlight. You flick it on. No one is there. But on the wall, written in condensation, is a new map. A spiral. Thick black lines curling inward. You trace it with your finger. It's not paint. It's ash. The flashlight flickers. The hallway groans, and the door to 3B opens. You didn't touch it. You stand, legs trembling, and walk toward it. Inside, the apartment has changed again. The furniture is gone. The walls are stripped bare. The only thing left is the chair, and on the chair something waits. Folded fabric. A shawl. Yours. You don't remember owning it. You pick it up. It's still warm, and under it, footprints. Not leading in, leading out, from the chair, across the floor. To the threshold, into the hall, into your apartment, into your steps. You understand now. She never lived above you. She lived beneath your walk. She was the echo, and now you are. You sit in the chair, and the floor begins to tick. 5 forward, 5 back. You are the sound now. You don't remember the last time you spoke your name aloud. Not because you've forgotten it, but because the building no longer needs you to say it. It recognizes your weight. It knows your stride. Every time your foot touches the floor, the joists flex like lungs, inhaling your presence. You wake before the footsteps start, before the world resets its midnight rhythm. You know now that time inside these walls does not flow forward. It spirals. You are not trapped in a loop. You are moving deeper into the coil. The apartment is breathing with you. When you sit, the cushions exhale. When you pour water, the pipes respond like veins adjusting to a pulse. The clock above your stove now blinks nonsense. 8 to 88, 4 to 71, infinity. You stopped checking it days ago. Or was it nights? You exist in the between floorboards. Between. Paces. Your skin feels thinner now. Light pierces it too easily. Your fingers leave smudges on glass that you swear move after you've walked away. You no longer need to count the footsteps above you. You know the exact moment they begin. Because they start in your bones. Your joints tighten. Your eardrums thrum. And then the creak. 5 forward, 5 back. Except tonight, the 5th step doesn't return. It hangs in the ceiling. Suspended. Waiting. So you rise. You dress without thinking. Not in your clothes, but in something older. A long gray coat from the back of your closet, stiff with dust. You don't remember buying it. The pockets contain lint, a single marble, and a scrap of a newspaper clipping. Local woman dies mid-stride. No name, no date, just that. You cross. The apartment in darkness, navigating by memory. Your hand rests briefly on the cracked floorboard. It's warm now. Beating, you walk to the door, open it. The hallway's gone, in its place. A staircase, it climbs up and down simultaneously. Like a Mobius loop built from brick and breath. Each step is engraved with names you almost remember. Finch, Quan, Elias, you. You step upward. The stair does not hold your weight, it absorbs it. The ascent is infinite, but brief. You arrive at 3B, but there's no door anymore. Only a corridor made of rooms stacked sideways, apartments folded into each other, as if someone shuffled space. Like a deck of worn cards, you walk through them. Each room is yours, and not. You see yourself at 5, scribbling on the walls with crayons, the noise of footsteps already baked into the wallpaper. You see yourself at 17, knees drawn to chest in a hallway, eyes red, ears ringing. You see yourself yesterday, today, maybe tomorrow, walking, always walking. Mrs. Finch walks beside you now. You feel her before you see her, the scent of lavender and varnish, the sound of soft shoes. She doesn't speak, but her presence settles like fog across your thoughts. She leads you to the final door. It's made of light, not gold, not fire. Light shaped like a rectangle, humming faintly. Inside is no furniture, no windows. Only a floor made of polished obsidian, and hundreds of footprints, etched into the stone, each one glowing faintly. A path, she gestures. You step forward. Your feet fit the prints. Exactly. The moment your heel lands in the first mark, you understand? This is the place they go. The walkers, the ones who hear the sound. Before it begins, the ones who answer the knock, no one else notices. You follow the pattern. Each footstep causes the room to change, subtly at first. A temperature shift, a sigh in the walls. A single picture frame appears on the wall, holding a photo of you standing in front of the building, smiling, holding a set of keys. The second photo shows you sleeping. The third shows you walking. In. The fourth, your face is gone. You reach the center of the room. The final footprint. It's not shaped like yours. It's smaller. Familiar. You hesitate. A voice inside you, not memory, not fear, says, to finish the walk, you must leave something behind. You feel your breath leave. Before you agree, you step into the footprint, and your body stops, but your movement doesn't. You look down and see your shoes vanish. Your coat fades. Your shadow stretches and detaches. It walks. You don't. Chair now. The one by the window. You are the hallway rug. The cracked board. The squeak before the creak. You are every sound made when someone thinks they're alone. And you watch as a man, new, weary, desperate, enters 3B. He is carrying a tea. Note. It reads, don't follow the sound up. He's too late. He already has. You remember him. He is you, or you are him. No matter. He will sit. He will pace. And someday he will return. Like all of you do. The room fades. The corridor returns. You stand at the top of the stairs, but the building is gone. Only footsteps remain, carved into the air. Endless, measured, patient. You never planned to return to the countryside. The house had been forgotten long before you were old enough to remember it. A hushed name spoken at family gatherings. A dot on a yellowed envelope. A place older relatives avoided describing. Your parents only mentioned it once, briefly. During a conversation they thought you weren't listening to. It's better left alone. And yet, 30 years later, it belongs to you. The letter arrived on a Tuesday. No return address. Just your name, full, middle, and all, typed neatly on the front. Inside, a key, brittle with age, and a note written in ink that smelled faintly of lavender and old paper. You'll understand once you're inside. No signature, no instructions, only coordinates, and a date. You go because you can't help. Yourself, not out of curiosity, at least, not the kind you'd admit, but out of something deeper, quieter. A pressure in your chest that hums like static, a feeling that something has been waiting. You drive out of the city before dawn. The road unspools in front of you like a ribbon left loose by time. Fog coils through trees. Signs vanish. The GPS cuts out. But somehow, you still know where to turn. You arrive as the sun breaks through a sky too pale to be trusted. The house is waiting at the edge of a field that doesn't move. Not a single blade of grass sways. The wind avoids this place. The structure is tall, narrow, 2 stories with a steep roof and black windows that reflect nothing. Ivy coils up its sides like veins rising beneath skin. The front door yawns open before you touch it. Inside, it smells like old sleep. You don't remember stepping over the threshold, but you're in. The air is still, not quiet. Listening. Your footsteps echo against wood that feels too soft beneath your boots. Dust hangs in the air, lit by a skylight that shouldn't be where it is. You pass rooms that haven't been touched in decades, furniture draped in white cloth like ghosts caught mid-step. The wallpaper is floral, but the flowers are wrong. Shapes that twist into spirals, petals that seem to move when you don't look directly at them. In the kitchen, the sink leaks a single drop every 5 seconds. The sound does not match the rhythm of time. It is slower, deliberate. You find the attic hatch half open. You shouldn't go up there, but you do. The ladder groans as you climb. The attic is a lung. It expands when you exhale. It tightens when you speak. You see the desk first. Old oak, ink-stained, scratched with the markings of someone who forgot how to write quietly. On top of it, a stack of letters. Dozens. All addressed to you. Your name. Handwritten. The dates range from 1974 to 1989. You weren't born until 1990. Your throat tightens. You pick up the first letter, open it. Your hands tremble, but you're not cold. Inside, neat cursive, blue ink. No greeting. You fell off the bicycle at 7, left elbow, 8 stitches. You lied to your mother about the rock, told her you tripped. But you remember the shadow that crossed the path before you fell, the sound it made. You still dream about it. You drop the letter because it's true. You never told anyone. You pick up the second. You loved her, even when she didn't know your name. The photo of her still lives behind the drawer in your second apartment. You keep it for reasons you won't admit. She will never call. You need to stop waiting. Your knees weaken. You sit. Read more. And more. Each letter is a thread pulled from your spine. They describe your thoughts, your fears, moments you never said aloud, things you told no one, not even yourself. Some describe memories you've forgotten. Others describe things that haven't happened yet. The 15th letter is dated a week from today. You will not sleep that night. The whisper will come from inside the walls. Do not answer, no matter what name it uses. You stand so quickly, the chair falls backward. Dust explodes into light. You step away from the desk like it bit you. Your breath claws its way out of your lungs. You shouldn't be here, but the house doesn't let go. You descend the ladder. The door won't open. None of them do. You sleep on the couch, lights on, every letter left where it was. At 3:22 a.m. You wake to the sound of writing. Not scratching. Writing. Deliberate. Pen on paper. You climb the attic ladder with your breath in your throat. No one is there. But a new letter sits on the desk. Still, drawing your name. Dated. Now you open it. The ink moves as you read. You are not reading this. You are writing it. You drop the paper. Your fingers are stained blue. You don't remember falling asleep. You remember the blue on your fingers. The way it sank into the ridges of your skin, like it belonged there. You scrubbed your hands until they ached, until your knuckles cracked, until the soap bled pink. But the stain didn't fade. You wake on the couch, stiff and sweating, though the air is cold. The house smells different now, not of dust or wood or time, but of ink. Wet ink, like someone has been writing all night, just out of sight. Sit up. Your shirt is inside out. You don't remember changing. The lamps are off. You don't remember turning them off. Something in you whispers. You're being written. The thought terrifies you, because it feels true. You climb the attic ladder without thinking. You don't even touch the rungs. Your body moves like it's done this before. Not yesterday, not last night, but for years. For lifetimes. You feel the ache in your joints, not from sleep, but from repetition. The attic door yawns open like a mouth exhaling. Memory. The desk is waiting. So are the letters. All of them. Even the one you crumpled and threw against the wall. It's back in the stack, flattened, smoothed, as if someone pressed it gently between palms that knew how to undo defiance. But now, there's more. Not just letters. Not just pages. Journals. Books. Dozens. All handwritten. All yours. You flip one. Open. The first line reads, "You won't believe this is happening." That's how I'll know it's working. You slam the book shut. Another one opens by itself. The page reads, "You'll try to leave today. It won't work." You run. You don't gather anything. Not your bag. Not your phone. You bolt for the front door like breath itself depends on it. But the hallway changes. You reach the kitchen instead. The sink is full of water now. Pen floats in it. You swear it blinks. You turn and the living room is gone. In its place. A long corridor lined with doors. Each one labeled with a date. Summer in the past. Summer in the future. One has today's date. You don't touch it. You walk faster. But the corridor lengthens with every step. You hear pages turning in the walls. Not wind. Not rats. Pages. Dozens of them. Hundreds. Whispering. You finally find door. Again. You throw it open. The field is still there. But your car, I send single quotes T. There are no tracks in the dirt. No indentation. In the grass. No memory of tires or movement. Just stillness. And you look up. The attic window is open. A figure stands there. You squint. It's you. But older. Tired. Holding a letter. Mouthing something. You can't hear the words, but you feel them. Crawl under your skin. You run again. Not toward the house. Not toward the attic. You run into the woods. Branches slash your arms. Roots twist underfoot. You run until your lungs burn. Until the trees thin. Until the clearing opens. And there it is. The house. Again. In front of you. You walked in a circle. Or the world did. You fall to your knees. Scream. But no sound comes out. Just ink. You wipe your mouth. Your fingers are blue again. You don't remember picking up the pen. You stagger back inside. The house swallows you without resistance, like it expected your return, like it knew the exact number of steps it would take for you to give up. You sit at the desk. A blank sheet waits. You don't want to write. But your hand does. It moves. It scribbles your name. It writes today's date. It draws a line. And then the words come. You'll think you're going mad. That's how the story begins. You throw the pen. It disappears mid-air, vanishing like smoke in reverse. The ink on the page spreads. Shapes form. Not letters. Not symbols. Faces. Yours. All of them crying, sleeping, screaming, walking. And one smiling. You hate that one the most because it looks content and you know it isn't real. A book on the shelf falls by itself. You jump. It lands open. A line reads. At this point, you start to doubt which version of you is the original. You want to burn it all. The letters, the house, the memory. But a voice inside you, soft, familiar, and just slightly wrong, whispers, "You've already tried." Do you remember what happened last time? You don't. You're not sure that's your voice, but you answer it anyway. You whisper, "No." And the room nods. You feel it. The floor beneath you shifts like a chest inhaling, and something in the walls laughs. You stop marking the days. Not because you've lost track. You haven't. Not really. But because the calendar in your phone resets each morning to a different year. Sometimes it's 1992. Other times it's decades into the future. Once it said January 1st, 000, and you didn't check it again for 3 days. Clocks don't tick anymore. They murmur. You've tried smashing them. They always return to the shelf by morning, wound and waiting. The house no longer tries to trick you. It doesn't need to. You've accepted its rules, or forgotten what it means to resist. You eat when the fridge fills itself. You sleep when the attic whispers your name. You speak aloud less and less. Words betray you here. They twist on your tongue. They rearrange themselves when you read them back. Last night, the letters spelled your name backward and still knew it was you. You haven't opened a new letter in 2 days, but they open themselves. This morning, 6 envelopes lay side by side on the table, all freshly unsealed. The pages inside were still warm, as if they had just finished being written. You don't remember touching a pen, and yet your fingerprints are pressed into the ink. One letter reads, "You will try to contact the outside world today." You'll remember someone, a cousin, maybe. You'll try to call them, but the voice that answers won't know your name, and you'll recognize it anyway, because it's yours. You laughed when you read that, a dry, broken laugh that tasted like dust and cedar. You tried the phone. Not yours. It disappeared days ago. A rotary model in the hallway rings every night at 3:36. You answer it now. You don't know why. Maybe you missed the sound of something other than your thoughts. It rings 6 times. You lift the receiver. Silence. Then colon double quotes. Hello? It's your voice, but not your words. Not this version of you. You ask who it is. You already know. You ask again. They say your name, but it's not a question. It's a warning. You hang up. The phone melts in your hand. By morning, it's back on the hook. Everything resets, except you. You age. You feel it in your bones. The tension in your back. The way your knees creak when you rise. You've been here a week, or a year. You've stopped trying to know. The ink on your hands has grown darker. It no longer washes off. It moves when you breathe. It pulses like it's alive. The mirror in the upstairs bathroom doesn't reflect you anymore. It reflects the version that smiled in the attic window. That version writes with intent. That version is not afraid. That version wants something. You start to hear scratching inside the walls. Not mice, not rats, not animals. Words. You place your ear to the drywall at night and hear full sentences whispered in your own voice. The cadence matches your breath. The pauses match your blinking. The wall says, "You shouldn't have come back. You never left. You were never born." The attic smells stronger now. Ink. Yes, but also something older, like scorched paper, like candle wax burned for a prayer. No. One answered. You find another. Letter this morning. It's not on the desk. It's on your chest. Taped to your skin. You peel it off. The message is shorter this time. Stop writing this. But your hands are already moving. Even now, they move. Even now. This part of the story folds into shape. You glance at the corners of the room for cameras, for eyes, for some logical structure that could explain this. But you find none. Just your own handwriting. Everywhere. On walls, on ceilings, inside the lampshades. You check under the bed and find notebooks. Hundreds. Each one filled with your words, your thoughts, versions of this moment. Slightly different. In one, you leave. In another, you die. In another still, you become the addict. You flip to the last page of the newest notebook. It's blank. Except for a single line. You'll read this and think it's fiction. But you'll feel the shape of the truth beneath it. You drop it. Run. This time you climb out the window. You land hard. Roll, blood in your mouth. You sprint for the tree line. The air feels thinner. Each step takes more than it gives. You reach the trees, but they aren't trees. They're pages. Hundreds of them, each one pinned upright in the ground. Fluttering, but rooted. You fall to your knees. Your name is written on every leaf. In ink. You scream. The pages rise like birds taking flight. The sky above you turns into parchment, the clouds into words. You look down at your arms. The ink spreads to your shoulders, your chest. You're being written again. Or still, or always. You don't know anymore. You walk back. Not because you want to, but because that's how this part ends. The letter was waiting for you before you opened your eyes. Not beside the bed, not slipped beneath the door, but already clutched in your hand, as though you had been gripping it in your sleep. Your name was on it, but not written in ink. Carved, deep and jagged, like a warning. You don't remember dreaming, but your fingers ache as if they've been writing all night. There's a tremor in your hand. It doesn't stop when you try to shake it off. You unfold the letter with dread. The handwriting is familiar now, more yours than your own. The ink looks dry, but it glistens as though freshly spilled. Today, you will find the version of yourself that never left this house. Do not look him in the eyes. If you do, you will remember everything at once. The moment you finish reading, the air in the room changes. Not colder, not heavier, just wrong, tilted, slanted, like you're standing on the edge of a world that wants to tip you out. You walk the hallway slower now. The mirrors are no longer mirrors. They're windows. And on the other side, something that looks like you is watching back. You avoid the attic today, not out of fear, out of instinct, like prey that knows the hunter is waiting. Instead, you descend. The basement was never open before. You're sure of that, but the door is ajar now, humming low like it's been breathing in the dark. You flick the light. It doesn't come on. You go anyway. Each step down is louder than it should be. Your heartbeat syncs with the creak of wood and the whisper of dust. When you reach the bottom, you find yourself. Standing. Still. Back. Turn. UNMOVING. Same posture. Same clothes. Same ink-stained hands. You whisper a name. Yours. His. No answer. The figure begins to tremble. Not from fear. From holding back something enormous. You step closer. Another letter is taped to its back. You reach out. Fingertips shaking. You peel it off carefully. You never left. You've been watching from the mirror. He is the version that tried to leave. He failed. So you came back. The figure turns, and you fall backward, because the face is yours, but it's older, empty. And behind the eyes, there's no reflection. Just parchment. Curling, dry parchment. As if your skull is now hollowed into a story. The other, you, speaks. But not in your voice, in the voice of the letters. I waited for you to remember. It says, I wrote until you returned. You run. Not back upstairs, but through a door that shouldn't exist on the far wall. Beneath an archway of crawling ink. It opens into a corridor made entirely of paper. Pages flutter gently as you pass. Each one contains a moment you lived, or almost lived. Your first birthday. Heartbreak you haven't felt yet. A funeral you don't recognize until you see your name on the casket. You run faster. The corridor bends. Folds. Becomes a staircase. You climb. And climb. And climb. Until the steps become letters again. Until your breath tastes like ink. Until the world smells like dust and memory. At the top. A room. Empty. Except for a chair and a desk and a sheet of paper that reads, this is where you write yourself out. Your hands move before you decide. They know what to do. They always have. You write your name and the paper ripples. You write your story and the room trembles. You finish the last line and you hear footsteps. From behind. You turn. No one. Just a mirror. And inside it, pen moving on its own. You blink, you're in the mirror now. See yourself at the desk. Writing. But it's not you. It's him. The version who never looked. Back. You screamed. The mirror cracks. A sliver of glass falls. You pick it up. And on its surface is one final line. You are never the writer. You were what was written. The ink beneath your skin begins to move. To climb. To whisper that it doesn't want to stop. It never did. You breathe slowly, but something else exhales with you. The story doesn't end when you close your eyes. That's when it begins writing back. You wake to a dawn that feels borrowed, as though the sky signed your name on a contract you never read. The walls of the house exhale in time with your heartbeat, and you realize the dream did not end. It simply changed rooms while you slept. Somewhere a typewriter clatters, but there is no typewriter in the house. Somewhere a kettle whistles, yet the stove is cold. You follow sounds that should not exist, down corridors that refuse to stay still, until you arrive at a door you have opened in a dozen memories, yet never in waking life. The handle is warm. The warning is silent. You turn it anyway. On the threshold, you sense loop 0, a ripple that warns, not yet finished. You wake to a dawn that feels borrowed, as though the sky signed your name on a contract you never read. The walls of the house exhale in time with your heartbeat, and you realize the dream did not end. It simply changed rooms while you slept. Somewhere a typewriter clatters, but there is no typewriter in the house. Somewhere a kettle whistles, yet the stove is cold. You follow sounds that should not exist, down corridors that refuse to stay still, until you arrive at a door you have opened in a dozen memories, yet never in waking life. The handle is warm. The warning is silent. You turn it anyway. On the threshold, you sense loop 1, a ripple that warns, not yet finished. On the threshold, you sense loop 2, a ripple that warns, not yet finished. You step inside. The light inside this room doesn't come from the ceiling or the window. It comes from the cracks in the walls, which pulse like veins under skin. On a table that has never been dusted sits the typewriter. No ribbon, no paper. Yet its keys depress rhythmically, tapping out a story that already feels familiar. You lean in. The space between each keystroke is your own breath. Then it stops. The machine waits for you. There's only one chair in the room. It fits your shape too well, as if it had been molded from the curve of your spine, your weight, your shame. You sit because there's no question anymore of leaving. The typewriter gives a single clack, spitting out a yellowed sheet from its impossible hollow. Typed in a fading ink is a single line. You were warned. You try to stand. The chair groans, your knees buckle. But the paper now glows faintly at its edges, whispering as if alive. You pick it up. The letters rearrange themselves. The story is rewriting itself in real time, and the protagonist is you. Not a character like you. Not someone with your name. You. The story begins with a lie you told at 12. Then the look on your father's face when he believed you. Then the consequence that followed. Then the guilt. Then the forgetting. Then the dream. You drop the C. Paper. It lands softly, face up, the line now reading. This is the part where you try to walk away again. The door behind you is gone, and the house exhales again. You search for a window, but the walls stretch the further you walk. They ripple like water when you touch them. Behind one panel, you hear a voice reading aloud. It's your voice, younger, desperate. You can't make out the words, only the tremble. You push against the sound, and the wall opens like skin unzipping. Behind it, another room. Inside, a table. On it, the envelope from your first night here, the one you burned. It's intact again, sealed in black wax. Addressed to you, but not the version of you that's standing here now. You pick it up. Your hands shake as you break the seal. The letter. Inside begins with a name you haven't heard in decades. Your original name, not the one your family used. Not the one on any ID. The one you whispered into pillows during nights of fever and loneliness, hoping someone beyond the ceiling was listening. The letter is from them, whoever they are. The ones who've been watching. Guiding, recording dot, it says, "We never meant for you to remember." The story was safer unfinished. The floor vibrates beneath your feet. You clutch the letter, but it curls and dissolves like ash in your palm. Behind you, the typewriter has begun again. But now it's typing backwards, tearing the story out. Of the page, letter by letter, as if unmaking you. You scream, but no sound leaves your mouth. You run, but the hallway moves with you. You stop, and everything else stops too. Then, in silence, the house speaks through the pipes, through the flickering bulb, through the pounding of your heart against your ribs. Sit down. Begin again. And without meaning to, you do dot the chair is no longer just furniture. It's a memory of every time you gave up. Every moment you stayed silent when your soul begged you to speak. As you sit, your spine conforms to the grooves already, etched into the wood. The typewriter places a blank page before you, though you never touched it. The keys stare up like teeth, expectant, hungry. You lift your hands. They're not your hands. They belong to someone who's written this before. The skin is ink-stained. The fingers tremble like an addict needing the next fix of narrative. When you strike the first key, something inside you cracks. Not pain, something older. A fracture in the foundation of who you are. The first word types itself. Remember. And with that, it begins pouring out. Not a story, a confession. The moments you buried so deep, even your dreams stopped digging. The hurt you caused. The faces you forgot on purpose. The promises you broke. And pretended time would absolve. You write them all. Not in prose, not in poetry, just truth. Raw, flayed, unedited truth. But then, mid-sentence, the typewriter stops responding. You try again. Nothing. You lift the page, it's blank, but your skin now carries every word you just wrote. The house begins to shrink. The ceilings lower, the walls inch inward. You realize this was never a home. It was a shell, a cocoon, or a coffin. You stand, your skin buzzing with unspoken paragraphs. You walk toward the only surface left, the mirror. For the first time, it doesn't reflect your face. It reflects the story. Every line etched into your eyes. Every regret curled in your fingers. Every possibility still hidden behind your silence. You lean in. The glass breathes, and it whispers your final prompt. Are you ready to be read? You press your forehead against the mirror, and it no longer feels like glass. It feels like thought, like memory made solid. A ripple pulses through it, and suddenly your reflection moves on its own. It doesn't mimic. It doesn't lag. It acts independent. A version of you untethered from hesitation. The reflection raises its hand and places it where yours meets the surface. You feel its warmth. It smiles, but not kindly. It's the smile of someone who knows what you've hidden, what you've avoided, what you left unfinished. And then it speaks, not aloud, but inside your chest. You wrote me to take your place. The mirror cracks, not in fear. In acceptance, you fall backward as the surface splits wide, revealing not glass but pages, endless pages, all blank, waiting, hungry. The typewriter is gone now, the chair too. Only you remain, and the version of you that steps out from the hue. Mirror. It is quieter than you, stronger, and it knows how the story ends. You ask, what happens now? It responds, now I write. It walks past you, takes your place, picks up the pen that didn't exist before, and begins. You try to scream, but you have no mouth. Try to move, but there are no limbs. Try to think, but your thoughts are ink. You're being written now, slowly, carefully, painfully. Each sentence steals a part of you. Each paragraph erases a memory. Each chapter seals the fate. The house settles. The rain resumes. Outside, no one notices the light in the attic flicker once and go out. A final line appears, typed not in ink, but in absence. You were a beautiful draft, but I prefer the revision. And with that ... you vanish.